Well, February is a Black History Month in the United States. The annual month-long national observance pays tribute to important people and events that shaped the history of African Americans. VOA's Chris Simkins reports how one man fought against discrimination to help millions of blacks obtain the right to vote.
Martin meant everything to me, really. He was freedom.
C.T. Vivian remembers working with Martin Luther King Jr. in a campaign to guarantee voting rights for blacks.
Here we are a democracy, and we're refusing the vote for at least 10 to 20 million people. We fought in every war that this country has had, and we have died in every one that it's had, and yet we didn't get the right to vote until 1965.
Civil rights leader Vivian and others were on a mission to get blacks registered to vote in Selma, Alabama. The city, like many in the South, was racially divided 51 years ago. Selma's white leaders were determined to prevent African Americans from voting by enforcing discriminatory regulations.
We were murdered for the right to vote. We were beaten at night by policemen. We were shot by them in the daytime, right? Because they wanted to keep us under constraint.
Vivian took on Sheriff Jim Clark, an admitted racist who enforced local laws that denied blacks voting rights.
I told him, I said, you can turn your back on
me, but you cannot turn your back upon the idea of justice.
So he decided to do what he always does, is beat people.
Despite the dangers, Vivian led dozens of blacks to the courthouse in Selma in a campaign known as Nonviolent Direct Action to expose racism.
We knew that we were going to get the right to vote. We wouldn't be citizens of this country until we had the right to vote.
The vote is the most powerful instrument ever devised by man for breaking down injustice.
When President Lyndon Johnson signed the 1965 Voting Rights Act, Vivian knew they had won the voting rights struggle.
From that time on, there was no doubt in our mind that we were going to have the right to vote. I'm most proud about it because it gave dignity to us that we did not have.
Being a part of history is humbling.
Very few white people really know, and you'd be surprised how few black people really know too, right? If you know that somebody died for your freedom in the very beginning, you got to give that a second thought, and it gives you a better understanding of the struggle itself.
We're willing to be beaten for democracy.
But C.T. Vivian says he wants to be remembered for doing everything he could to achieve freedom and equality for all African Americans. Chris Simkins, VOA News, Atlanta.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince McCory.